Their eyes were dazzled, for all were filled with tears. Gimli wept openly. "I have looked the last upon that which was fairest," he said to Legolas, his companion. "Henceforward I will call nothing fair, unless it be her gift." He put his hand to his breast. "Tell me, Legolas, why did I come on this quest? Little did I know where the chief peril lay. Truly Elrond spoke, saying that we could not foresee what we might meet upon our road. Torment in the dark was the danger that I feared, and it did not hold me back. But I would not have come had I known the danger of light and joy. Now I have taken my worst wound in this parting, even if I were to go this night straight to the Dark Lord. Alas for Gimli, son of Glóin." "Nay," said Legolas, "alas for us all, and for all that walk the world in these after days. For such is the way of it, to find and lose, as it seems to those whose boat is on the running stream. But I count you blessed, Gimli, son of Glóin, for your loss you suffer of your own free will, and you might have chosen otherwise. But you have not forsaken your companions, and the least reward that you shall have is that the memory of Lothlorien shall remain ever clear and unstained in your heart, and shall neither fade nor grow stale." "Maybe," said Gimli, "and I thank you for your words. True words, doubtless, yet all such comfort is cold. Memory is not what the heart desires. That is only a mirror, be it clear as Keledzarum. Or so says the heart of Gimli the dwarf. Elves may see things otherwise. Indeed, I have heard that for them memory is more like to the waking world than to a dream, but not so for dwarves. But let us talk no more of it. Look to the boat. She is too low in the water with all this baggage, and the great river is swift. I do not wish to drown my grief in cold water." He took up a paddle and steered towards the western bank, following Aragorn's boat ahead, which had already moved out of the middle stream. They let the river bear them on at its own pace, having no desire to hasten towards the perils that lay beyond, whichever course they took in the end. Aragorn let them drift with the stream as they wished, husbanding their strength against weariness to come. The lands changed slowly. The trees thinned and then failed altogether. On the eastern bank to their left they saw long formless slopes stretching up and away toward the sky. They had come to the brown lands that lay vast and desolate between southern Mirkwood and the hills of the Emyn Muir. What pestilence or war or evil deed of the enemy had so blasted all that region, even Aragorn could not tell. Upon the west, to their right, the land was treeless also, but it was flat and in many places green with wide plains of grass. On this side of the river they passed forests of great reeds, so tall that they shut out all view to the west, as the little boats went rustling by along their fluttering borders. Their dark withered plumes bent and tossed in the light cold airs, hissing softly and sadly. Here and there through openings Frodo could catch sudden glimpses of rolling meads, and far beyond them hills in the sunset. That night they camped on a small eyot close to the western bank. Sam lay rolled in blankets beside Frodo. "I had a funny dream an hour or two before we stopped, Mr. Frodo," he said. "Or maybe it wasn't a dream. Funny it was anyway. I saw what I took to be a log floating along in the half-light behind Gimli's boat, but I didn't give much heed to it. Then it seemed as if the log was slowly catching us up, and that was peculiar, as you might say, seeing as we were all floating on the stream together. Just then I saw the eyes, two pale sort of points, shiny like on a hump at the near end of the log. What's more, it wasn't a log, for it had paddle feet, like a swan's almost, only they seemed bigger and kept dipping in and out of the water. I don't like my thoughts, but thinking of one thing and another, and Mr. Bilbo's stories and all, I fancy I could put a name on the creature at a guess. A nasty name. Gollum, maybe." "Yes, that's what I have feared for some time," said Frodo. "Ever since the night on the Flet. I suppose he was lurking in Moria and picked up our trail then, but I hoped that our stay in Lorien would throw him off the scent again. The miserable creature must have been hiding in the woods by the Silverlode, watching us start off." "We have not journeyed far south yet," said Aragorn. "You are looking now southwest across the north plains of the Riddermark, Rohan, the land of the Horse Lords. Ere long we shall come to the mouth of the Limelight that runs down from Fangorn to join the great river. That is the north boundary of Rohan, and of old all that lay between Limelight and the White Mountains belonged to the Rohirrim. It is a rich and pleasant land, and its grass has no rival. But in these evil days folk do not dwell by the river, or ride often to its shores. Anduin is wide, yet the orcs can shoot their arrows far across the stream, and of late, it is said, they have dared to cross the water and raid the herds and studs of Rohan." The next day the country on either side began to change rapidly. The banks began to rise and grow stony. Soon they were passing through a hilly, rocky land, and on both shores there were steep slopes buried in deep breaks of thorn and sloe, tangled with brambles and creepers. Behind them stood low crumbling cliffs and chimneys of grey weathered stone, dark with ivy, and beyond these again there rose high ridges crowned with wind-writhen firs. They were drawing near to the grey hill country of the Emin Muil, the southern march of Wilderland. As they were swept aside, the travellers could see, now very close, the pale foam of the river lashing against sharp rocks that were thrust out far into the stream like a ridge of teeth. The boats were all huddled together. "I am out of reckoning," said Aragorn. "I did not know that we had come so far. Anduin flows faster than I thought. San Gebir must be close at hand already." Aragorn hoped to find some way by which they could carry both their boats and their baggage to the smoother water beyond the rapids. As soon as it was fully light, they started. Already the fog was thinning. They kept as close as they could to the western side, and they could see the dim shapes of the low cliffs, rising ever higher, shadowy walls with their feet in the hurrying river.
Behold, the Argonath, the pillars of the kings.
The pent waters spread out into a long oval lake, pale Nenhithoel, fenced by steep grey hills whose sides were clad with trees, but their heads were bare, gold gleaming in the sunlight. At the far southern end rose 3 peaks. The midmost stood somewhat forward from the others and sundered from them, an island in the waters, about which the flowing river flung pale shimmering arms. Distant but deep, there came up on the wind a roaring sound like the roll of thunder heard far away. "Behold Tolbrandir," said Aragorn, pointing south to the tall peak. "Upon the left stands Armand Law, and upon the right is Armand Hen, the hills of hearing and of sight. In the days of the great kings there were high seats upon them, and watch was kept there. But it is said that no foot of man or beast has ever been set upon Tolbrandir. Ere the shade of night falls, we shall come to them. I hear the endless voice of Rauros calling." The company rested now for a while, drifting south on the current that flowed through the middle of the lake. They ate some food, and then they took to their paddles and hastened on their way. The sides of the westward hills fell into shadow, and the sun grew round and red. Here and there a misty star peered out. The 3 peaks loomed before them, darkling in the twilight. Rauros was roaring with a great voice. Already night was laid on the flowing waters, when the travellers came at last under the shadow of the hills.
We always knew that the Company of the Ring would face the difficult decision of what road to take. We simply did not know how soon.
it off! Fool! Take it off! Take off the ring!
Something happened to our mutual friends. The signs of it are everywhere in the East Wall. But did the danger come from without their number? Or within? Someone cut a mighty swath through the Uruks in the East Wall. But was it enough to save our mutual friends from certain death? Those footprints are hobbit-sized. What became of our mutual friends on that dangerous day?
So Frodo and Sam set off on the last stage of the quest together. Frodo paddled away from the shore, and the river bore them swiftly away. At length they came to land again upon the southern slopes of Armen Lor. There they found a shelving shore, and they drew the boat out, high above the water, and hid it as well as they could behind a great boulder. Then, shouldering their burdens, they set off, seeking a path that would bring them over the grey hills of the Emyn Muir and down into the land of shadow. This ends the Fellowship of the Ring.